had projects that were approved and not held up, I think you start to see some tax monies come in the back door. And those tax monies in themselves might fund Ray's ability to deal with this. Clearly, it's going to be after the fact, like many of us have to deal with, but please, please go with what your gut feelings are today. Please continue with this. This is really important to all of us on the coast. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bauer. Additional comment?
Yeah, just a quick one. Wendy Roberts. One thing that I think is really critical is Peter Douglas, in a speech that he made at Yosemite, makes an impassioned appeal that property rights don't matter. If there isn't any other way that we can fund protecting this coast, by George, it should come out of the pockets of private property owners. I appreciate his passion because I feel equally passionate about protecting the ocean. Nancy and I arm wrestle about who it belongs to. I say it's mine. She says it's hers. It's ours. And my one question is, in coming up against the Coastal Commission, I think it's critical not to let them steal the language. They're not the only people who care about it. You are preservationists. When you try to correct a flawed agency and a flawed policy, to me, you are true protectionists because you're trying to motivate people to support that cause, and you're incorporating the human element into that protection. So I think it's important to build that language into whatever is done as a county to try to correct the policy. A good policy may lead to some change. There are people who do not tolerate any change. It's all bad, all anti-environment. Right now, the Coastal Act, in just the details I've ferreted out, is so tiny. They're doing things, they're requiring things that are actively less effective in protecting the coast than other solutions might be. But because they're so locked up, they call that protection. So don't let them steal the language. I really commend you for taking this seriously and trying to protect the coast and our communities and our individuals.
Thank you. Additional comments from the public? Okay, back to the board. I believe the clerk read a list of 5 issues. Other suggestions? What do we want to do here?
Make a motion. So moved.
Second.
To the wording of the
Yes.
clerk previously stated.
Yes.
Okay, there is a motion and a second before us. Discussion to the motion from the board. Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, passes unanimously.
5:30.
So,
Ms. Glassy.
so just from the standpoint of staff, thank you very, very much. This is all we hoped for in terms of getting direction and a sense of where we're going to go. I would like to say that we think we can probably bring this back, I would say towards the end of May, because we want enough time to be able to put together a packet of information that you can get in advance, and it will address the issues that were on the list. Ray and I will work together on that. And the only clarification I wanted to give is the estimate of one FTE for processing was assuming that there was a backlog that would all come forward. If the policy statement is it's up to applicants knowing what the possibilities are to come forward or not, there might not be that same level of backlog. So we'll estimate as best we can, but I want to be clear that the one FTE was thinking everyone would come forward who hadn't, and that might not be the case under this changed wording.
Okay, thank you. Just a couple more items of business before someone calls the 5:30 rule, and I'll let us out of here. Supervisor reports. Supervisor Smith had a couple items.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll make this very brief. The community had an initial opportunity to see the excuse me, community rollout of the Mendocino Futures concept, which is an economic development and conversation that's been happening inland, and they came to the coast, and with the one group of citizens on the coast, they had a dialogue here actually in Town Hall on Friday night. It was very interesting, broke out into discussion groups, and we want to carry this concept to other aspects of the community, to Rotary, Seroptimus, the Chamber, to kind of get up to speed where the inland group is with having this conversation on. And the three things that they've focused on are, well, they've expanded. I won't go into that. But on economic development, conversations of bringing folks together to work more collaboratively on that. The second thing is I've been working with a group on the home foreclosure issue, and we're trying to figure out a way to bring forward a discussion. We're talking about mid-June, and this would be co-sponsored by the City of Ukiah, the City of Fort Bragg, myself from Fort Bragg, and I believe Supervisor Wattenberger's been contacted. And this would be bringing forward a discussion. They've held this in Rancho Cordova as the model we're using of trying to bring resources to the local community on what to do with home foreclosure issues. Those in the community that own homes and are having a real difficulty along these lines, what resources can we bring to share with them to try to prevent the foreclosure from occurring? So there's a group that's been meeting on this, trying to bring this forward. Also, Senator Pat Wiggins' office and Assemblymember Berg's office have been involved with that. And we hope that we can bring this together and get this out as a joint sponsorship by mid-June. The third thing is to announce that the Fire Safe Council has been successful in their second attempt to receive money for the gorse eradication project. They tried last year, they narrowly missed receiving it, and luckily this year through Bureau of Land Management, the Casper Gorse Hazard Fuels Rejection Project has been fully funded in the amount of $108,000, and it's really money that's well-deserved. Serious issue on the coast, and this is not going to go the whole way, but this is one partnership that's going to really help try to move forward with the gorse eradication, which is a very serious fire hazard on the coast, particularly in the Casper area. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a quick report, but do any other supervisors have a report at this late hour? Okay. Quick report back on a letter that you authorized me to sign into the State Water Resources Control Board. I've been contacted by Karen, forgotten her last name, works directly for Victoria Whitney, the Deputy Director of Water Resources Control Board, asking me if it would be all right if we had a visit from Water Quality and not a workshop. She stated that they don't actually record comments, questions at their one workshop. They would not be recording comments, questions at any future workshops. They would only accept written comments, and so individuals could do that at any time between now and May. And she posed to me, would that be all right? And I said, well, first of all, I'll ask my board, but second of all, from the tenor of our letter, I believe that would be a no, that we want a workshop in Mendocino County. And she said, well, before you say that, could you ask your board? And I said, well, I'll report back to you on Wednesday, probably with that no then. And I think we need to put it in writing. I'll need some help crafting that type of a letter. But our original statement was, we recommend and strongly urge the Division of Water Rights to hold additional workshops, at least one in each of the affected counties prior to the May 1st 08 deadline for submitting public comment to the proposed policy. And we are willing to provide a meeting place in Ukiah for such a workshop to be held. I would ask that this board remain as strong as this letter is in our request, and almost now up it to a demand that we have an additional workshop, at least in Mendocino County. I asked her some very pointed questions in regards to existing water diversions, whether studies would be required, etc. Her answer was, well,